On the phone with us right now, returning guest, and it's so great to have him. We actually booked him last week for this week, and ironically enough, this guy's had probably the best day as a Laker fan ever.
One of the best weeks ever.
So why don't we have none other than the Pettiest Laker Fan, Pettiest LA.
Hey, there he is.
Yo.
Dude.
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Doing great, dude. I mean, you're doing better. How you got to tell the story. How did that happen? How did you hang out with Jeanie Buss?
All right, cool. I got you guys. So I was planning on going to the game. You know, I'm just to keep it as simple as possible and as vague as possible. There's some very important people within the Lakers organization that like me. So I'm fortunate enough I was able to go to the game, and the most insane story ever is how I met Jeanie Buss, because you know, I figured that I would see her at some point. You know, you kind of have to have that mentality when you're around, when you go to to any place like that you're going to run into people who are important and famous. But, you know, I kind of just assumed I would see her and be like, oh, that's Jeanie Buss, you know. So we're, I'm in there. I'm with my friend who brought me to the game, and, we're at this buffet. We're getting some food. And, talking, I have a drink, and then he taps me on the shoulder, and he's like, I want you to meet someone. And I turn around, and it's Jeanie Buss.
That's so cool.
You know, I thought I had prepared myself for this, but I wasn't. I kind of gasped, and then I was like, I'm sorry, I'm having a moment, and everyone started laughing at me, and I was like, oh, this is great. Then he's like, he introduces me, and he's like, oh, how do you know him? He's like, oh, from Lakers Twitter. You know, he makes content. And she asked, oh, what's your Twitter at? And I was like, oh, the Pettiest Laker Fan. Her eyes go wide, and she says, you're the Pettiest Laker Fan? And I was like, yeah. And she's like, I love your content.
Whoa!
Bro.
So it's safe to say you guys are dating now, right?
No. We're
Damn it.
We're not.
I
found out that she's petty too, because we started talking about Lakers stuff.
That's so cool.
She was able to, in the most creative and elegant and just respectful way, include Clipper slander in the conversation. So I was like, I guess I'm not the pettiest one anymore. She just started bursting out laughing. So that was amazing.
That's great. That's beautiful. That's awesome.
I would never expect the owner of an NBA franchise to be like that kind of petty. Maybe the Warriors owner, but still, Bob Myers, he's pretty petty. But Jeanie Buss, the queen of Laker Nation? What?
That's so funny.
It's amazing. It's amazing because the whole point of my my whole moniker of the Pettiest Laker Fan in my content is kind of under the pretense of like I could keep my mouth shut, but I'm not going to.
Yeah.
And and you're able to do that because when you're a Lakers fan, you have 17 banners hanging up in there, then you can talk your talk. So it was really dope. The most amazing part was the fact that she what she ended up doing is when I told her that I was the Pettiest Laker Fan, her eyes went wide and she grabbed her phone and took a selfie with me.
That's so awesome.
That is
coolest,
so
awesome.
dude.
So I haven't shared the selfie yet publicly, but look out for it.
Hey, dude, did she say which one? One of your videos was her favorite? Any of them specifically?
No, she did not. But I did have the chance. And just to let you know, I'm not answering the question. I'm not going to tell you guys, but I did have the chance to ask her what her favorite NBA or Laker championship was. And I'm keeping that to myself, but because I was my story, I shared with you guys everything else. That one's staying close to the chest, but I was able to find that out from her because I was I'm not gonna ask her a billion questions about everything, but I had one question, and I'm like, okay, this is my gift to me for being able to meet her.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah,
dude.
we got the image right now of you and Jeanie, not the selfie you guys took, but the one you posted up on social media. And yeah, you guys are smiling. I know you were wearing your mask halfway, but you got.
I
can
played
tell
myself
you're
on that
grinning.
one.
Yeah, you got the Cheshire Cat smile, which is so great.
Yeah, real fast, Petty. Thank you so much for coming on, and I mean this in all due respect. What did she smell like? I mean, I imagine it's like the ocean, like a mermaid, right?
She smelled like 17 mother effing championships. That's what she smelled like. All right.
Do you realize, okay, like the last time Mark and I did an episode together, him and I were pretty much trying to say like, hey, like Jeanie, Jay Moore is not right for you. I could treat you right. Like we had The Bachelor up in this episode, like on the studio.
Yeah, we had the rose.
So like you being with her is just like we're actually not even jealous. We're just like actually happy. We're the opposite of petty right now.
Yeah. I'm so excited for you. It's like I'm telling you, it's like I just lived vicariously through you.
Getting to meet him too was really awesome too. He's funny. He was like roasting the other team's outfit the entire time. Like he was just going like ham. Like he had like it was like he had prepared a bit. You know, and I was like,
yeah.
He's like, I was like, man, has anyone ever told you should be a comedian? He's like, yeah, not until I was like 30 years in.
That's
dying.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
We're on the phone right now with the Pettiest Laker Fan. Follow him on Twitter. Follow him on Instagram at the Pettiest LA. And obviously, like we got to talk about the Winning Time, the new Laker series that will be dropping out in March. Mark and I were talking about it in the first segment. But what are your thoughts about that new series coming out soon?
I'm super excited about it. I think you're talking about the HBO, or not HBO, it's HBO series?
Yeah, that one with John C. Reilly as Dr. Jerry Buzz.
Yes. And Adrian Brody.
Pat Riley.
Brody. Yeah, it's Pat Riley. I still feel weird about it. He's a great actor, but it just feels weird. I'm really excited about it. That is my favorite era of Lakers. You know, even though I grew up during, like, obviously Shaq and Kobe, my favorite player has always been Magic Johnson. So for me, like, getting to see that, and like, I think when they do shows like this, it's like impossible to actually make a good show where you take it seriously. So the fact they're kind of doing this like very self-aware, funny style of like storytelling, to me, I think it's perfect and like right on brand.
Do you feel like the casting was right when it came to John C. Reilly playing Dr. Jerry Buzz? Because the rumor was that Will Ferrell originally wanted that part.
You know, that's a good question. I'm always like a wait-and-see person because I remember I was one of the few people, you know, when The Dark Knight was coming out that thought he was going to do a good job as Joker, and it goes down as one of the, like, you know, greatest performances ever. Yeah. So I'm a wait-and-see type of person. I think Will Ferrell would have been great too, but I think John C. Reilly has a little bit of a different type of persona that I think will fit. So. Yeah,
and I don't know much about Quincy Isaiah, but he already looks like the perfect Magic Johnson.
Amen. The smile. That's the most important part with the Magic Johnson. There could be 1,000 actors that are good actors that be able to act like him, but he's got the smile, so I'm all in on him.
Did you ever read the book that was that this is based off of? Like all the stories? I never got a chance to, but I just hear that they partied a lot in the 80s, obviously.
Oh yeah, man. I haven't, but I watched that Magic Johnson interview.
Although, yeah, the one he was talking about getting laid everywhere, right?
Yeah. I was like, yo, man, it was wild, bro.
This is the reason why they call him Magic.
Oh, man. Yeah, and that's another thing. Like, I'm pretty sure there's going to be that down part of the episode, like the one episode where it's just like, well, Magic's now having to retire, and it's just like, oh, that's going to be a dark episode.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how they handle a lot of, you know, I'm interested to see how they handle that era and like the rivalry with the Celtics, the stuff with Isaiah Thomas, you know, the infamous kiss on the cheek, you know, between him and Magic and him, you know, that's going to be, I hope it gets that far at least. I don't know, you know, it is only the first season of it, so who knows how far, you know, the story gets, but I'm very, very excited about it.
Now, I don't have because this is just impromptu, and this was something we were talking about first segment, but this is the girl who will be playing Jeanie Buss, okay? Hadley Robinson. She's actually 26 years old. Who would you pick in real time, Hadley Robinson or Jeanie Buss?
Jeanie Buss.
Okay,
we agree.
That was a trick question. I'm glad you did not fall for it.
She's on the other line right now listening. Imagine. No, I'm kidding.
I know, it's like Well, we have it right here. You know.
Yeah. It's the
Think
dating
about
game.
your answer. Oh, sorry.
She's also
You are
played.
now-
She also played a girl by the name of Vivian. She was the lead role of the movie Moxie, and Laker fans, you all know about Vivian, so we can't trust this girl. I don't think we should recast her as Jeanie Buss.
Yeah, I'm actually going to be starring in the HBO series Vivian Laker Twitter.
Yeah. Oh, I did. I can't wait for that one. I can't wait for that.
I'm actually going to be playing myself as a schmuck who thought the person was missing.
Aw. I did hear that account started tweeting again, right?
Oh my goodness, I have no idea.
I could have sworn I thought I heard that. I was on maybe I don't know, maybe I was just delirious, but I could have sworn I thought I wrote or I thought I read something like that she started.
I feel like that would have been a whole Lakers Twitter event if that happened. So maybe it did, but I think I probably missed it. But yeah, look out for my book coming out soon.
On Lakers, yeah.
The Catfish.
I will say it's pretty cool that
30.
you pretty much carved your like namesake into the mountain of that is Lakers Twitter. I will say it's like you're a part of it, and I've been around it for years. Fear LA has been around since really the beginning of how it kind of started, and to see you blossom and work your way up and to be at this level now, it's so happy for you. I'm just ecstatic for you and so happy that because you put in a lot of hard work.
I really appreciate it. It's like surreal, like how much everybody's like really like champion the stuff that I did because it's like I remember I started in February of last year. It'll be a year that I had my platform where I was like just tweeting and people were following me and I was enjoying being a part of the community. And then I just got tired of seeing like the terrible Laker coverage and like how people are always so negative about everything that happens. And I just decided I wanted to like do something different than that. And people really mess with it because we're tired of hearing people complain all the time.
Yeah.
And shout out to David, by the way, because I know David does a lot of the work for your editing, right?
Amen. Yes, it would literally be impossible to do what I do without David. The moment that I promise you, the moment that I stepped away from Jeanie Buss, I took a moment and I texted him before I did anything else because I said, "Hey," like I wanted him to know that. And we spent the following day. I talked to him for like an hour about everything that happened, and I just showed my love because without that guy, I would not be where I'm at. I couldn't make the vision of what I wanted to do ever come to life, and he's just a hard worker and a better person than anybody that I know. So shout out to David.
That's awesome. And she does follow Fear LA's Twitter account too. So, I don't know if she's watching right now or she's going to be reading her tweets, but hey, maybe I'm going to pull you and I'm going to be like, hey, I'm here on Twitter too. And then maybe I could get a picture with her.
Oh man, don't say it like that, bro. Nah, man, I'm nobody, man. I had a good weekend.
That's great.
That's all I can say, man.
So the Lakers right now are kind of okay. They're average. I don't want to say this because we just talked about Jeanie Buss last segment, so she's probably watching. But the Lakers are obviously doing okay. They're just staying afloat, 500. You obviously were at the game when they won, but like, how do you feel as if the Lakers are playing since the Boston game?
I think it's just such a weird thing because it's like you think one time you're like, okay, this team is decidedly terrible or mediocre. Like that's just what they're going to be. They're going to be a bad team, right? And then they go out and then they perform well, but then it's like not against like a really, really good team. So you're like, man, are they back? Are they finally focused? It's like it's kind of hard to tell where they're at right now with all the injuries, but I'm done making excuses for them. I think as of right now, it's currently constructed. They're kind of middling. They're just kind of right there in the middle where they're going to have some good nights against really bad teams, but they're going to keep them in the game, and every game is going to be a fight.
Like the one observation I had is that, they're a bunch of veterans. I feel like they think that, or they know they could turn it on when they need to, but we just haven't seen it. Like, do you think it's just like an energy thing, a hustle thing? Do you think they just need to try harder?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think we're not good enough at the things that made our team great in the championship year. Like, we don't have the defenders to enact what makes our coach great. Frank Vogel is an all-time great defensive mind, and he doesn't have the pieces to do what he did the title year. and which could turn our offense to defense. That kind of made up for the fact that he's a very not mediocre, maybe even less than mediocre offensive coach. And of course, we all know about his infamous rotation. So I feel like we're kind of like okay at everything, but not good enough to beat anybody on any given night. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know what the answer is.
It's
I'm not
tough.
sure what the answer is to fix that, you know?
Yeah, honestly, like I don't even blame Vogel for trying to play DeAndre Jordan as long as he did. I know a lot of Laker fans saw it. I even saw it, where it's just I'm like, yo, maybe it takes some time. I felt like that guy that was in a relationship with the girl that kept on cheating on me. I'm like, wait, give her some time. She'll change. Like it felt like that, where it's like a lot of people are expecting him to be out sooner, whereas like maybe DeAndre can acclimate, because I really wanted to see that Dwight JaVale combo thing, but it never did work out. So I think figuring out the rotation now is the most important part for the Lakers to stay afloat.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree with you. I think they can be a contending team. I think they have the talent to do that. I just think they need to put it together. It depends on what we get from Ariza, because if Ariza's like able to play like 20 minutes a night and be a great defender, that's going to really open up things for the Lakers. And then, Kendrick Nunn, he's kind of like he really could raise the floor for this team on a nightly basis. Mm-hmm. So I really kind of want to see everything together before they just say, oh, let's trade for whoever.
Yeah, it kind of feels like they're trying to. You know how the internet is and rumors come out. Like, I'm sure you heard the Westbrook rumor about the Lakers.
Simmons.
Yeah,
Simmons,
and Ben Simmons as well. Is there anyone on your radar that you could see that the Lakers like needing, if so be?
I honestly think Jeremy Grant is the type of person that you would want for the team, but I don't see him. I don't look at this team and be like, man, we're a Jeremy Grant away.
Yeah.
From a championship. I don't think anybody that we could trade for really, really like brings the ceiling up for this team at all and makes it so that we're going to be like a shoe-in for the finals or for an NBA championship. Currently, I think it's really about like this team vibing.
Yeah, I think it's that too, because I always compare this between the 2020 team, and it's like, okay, so obviously we're missing some key players, McGee,
Caruso,
KCP, and once again that was some defense. So I feel like it's like. I feel like there's still like a lot of work to do. I feel like we can do it. They can do it if they try, just a little bit more effort. But at the same time, it's like I don't know. Is it too early to pull the panic button still, or to push the panic button?
Absolutely, I think it's way too early to press panic. I think a lot. I don't think he's gotten enough credit for how well Russell Westbrook has fit in with being such a polarizing player. Like I think. Before this last 2 or 3 game stretch where he was kind of struggling, he was playing some of the best basketball of anyone. I think he had been the best player on the floor a couple nights, and if not the second best player, Yeah. So I think it's too soon. I just think that they need more time together, and they need to the full team to be healthy.
Yeah, no, I would say that. As long as the Clippers don't win, it's always going to be my. I need the Lakers to get better, and I need the Clippers not to win.
Yeah, because this is actually remind me of what Kevin Love said last week on a podcast.
Uh-huh.
He said something along the lines of how underrated, or like pretty much how unsung that championship team was for the Cavs back when they had LeBron, Kyrie, and we're kind of seeing something like play out now with this Lakers squad because. Yeah. After he said it, he goes, we didn't realize exactly what we had, but what we had was so special. Like, I look back, and I think when you reach that pinnacle, when you're on the top, you want that. And it's like watching the last, it's like a drug. That was confusing for him to say. But anyways,
yeah. So
pretty much like regular season-wise, he pretty much said, like, regular season, we didn't really care. When it came to the playoffs, that's when we showed up. So I think that's LeBron's mentality because the game you were there at, he was playing both ends of the floor. There are other games where it's just LeBron doesn't look like a defensive player at all. And I'm just at this point where I'm like, okay, this isn't a team that's really taking the regular season for like seriously. Yeah. Like they're a team that's like, oh, we'll just try to beat a team in 7-game series, So how do you feel about that? Like, do you agree with Kevin Love? Like, this is something that probably could actually go on with the Laker team that we see with LeBron now?
Yeah, I think you make a really good point. My video editor David, we were talking about it too when I talked to him the other day. We were talking about this team, about how we were feeling about it. I was feeling a little less confident than I am right now about the team, but then he said something to me that made a lot of sense. He said, this team is one of those teams that's all veterans, which means they're probably going to not have the effort to have the best record in the regular season. But in the playoffs, this entire team's going to been there, done that. Even the players that are struggling, like, you have Kendrick Nunn, who was in the finals, and he was like, hey, I want to get back there and win this time. AD, LeBron, Carmelo, he's been the best player on the team in the finals. He's played with the Blazers, hit really tough shots. So I think this team is going to be one of those teams where they're just okay in the regular season, and they'll be good in the playoffs.
So do you think, like, in 7 games, if the Lakers can get it all together, do you think they have a chance at, like, say, the Warriors or the Phoenix Suns?
Absolutely. I've like, spent my whole life watching people betting against LeBron James.
Yeah. Yeah. I was
even
included.
Me, at the beginning of the season, I'm like, is LeBron getting old? And then it's like, oh, yeah, 35-point game. Yeah, all right. Never mind. Sorry, LeBron.
My bad.
Yeah.
All right, Anthony Davis, we're going to take the keys from your hand and put it back in LeBron. All right.
Apparently, he's still better than you. Here you go.
he eventually cares.
Right.
That's what it comes down to, Anthony Davis. Sorry. Just it. But yeah, I agree. Like, I think I'm so glad you keep on saying Kendrick Nunn's name because I'm the person that was so excited that the Lakers landed him. And it kind of sucks because I'm watching him like AMC stock when people first invested. They're like, come on, do something. Like, I'm hoping he can explode like AMC did in the midsummer. So, like, I do think he has high stock. I do think Malik Monk, who I saw is like the recent most improved player that the team named. Like, I do have actually hope for the Lakers' future beyond just this season. I'm not sure how you stand on that.
I'm with you. Like, I think I really want to see more. Like, I was hoping to see a little bit more from THT, but all the things have been quelled by Reeves, man, because he is really, really good at basketball. He plays like a veteran. He always is making the right decision. He can isolate and score. He honestly needs more minutes, to be honest. If I was going to say, like, whenever he plays, he makes things happen. And I know that, like, there's that Caruso comparison because, he's the, like, obligatory white guy on this team, and every great Lakers team, there's always one guy. But they don't have the same game at all, but what they both have in common is that, like, when they're on the floor, they just do the right thing and make things happen. So I think, like, there is potential on this team to, like, for them to be a real contending team where they look strong every night. I just think they need time.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then also to go off of that, it's funny how his nickname is Hillbilly Kobe.
Yeah.
HBK.
HBK.
It's like there's also like a subtle like racist thing, like where it's just like, oh, we'll call Brian Scalabrine White Mamba, and then like they did something similar with Caruso, but it's just like they're like, oh, we'll call him Hillbilly Kobe.
Can't wait for the next nickname.
I tried to make the Bon Mamba pop off for him, but it just didn't work. I thought HBK was just too good, man. But what's funny? I think like a nickname like that is not as bad because it was like his own friends, gave him that nickname. It wasn't like Lakers fans Lakers fans heard that was a nickname and they were like, bet.
Yeah. We'll continue. They're like, we'll continue the tradition. You don't gotta worry about it.
We got this.
Oh, say less. We got you.
So yeah, going off of it, you guys. You mentioned earlier how like this is probably meant to be a playoff team, but is there any team right now around the league that kind of you're worried about like matching up with in the playoffs?
I would say genuinely the only teams that really concern me are the Warriors and, like, as much as it pains me and disgusts me to say, the Suns, because the Suns look like a very solid team that's very disciplined. And very organized, and they have Chris Paul, who's a great floor manager, and you see some of the other players on that team match up. Like, to me, the Warriors for like a foregone conclusion as like Western Conference Finals right now. They look so good. They have Steph Curry. They have Klay Thompson coming back. And I mean, they have, pretty much like, what's his name? Matt Barnes 2.0, like,
Oh, Jordan Poole?
Yeah, pretty
Or
much.
Toscano Anderson?
What's his name? Oh my goodness.
Toscano Anderson.
The Maple Mamba dude. That's what they.
Yeah.
Oh, Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
Yeah, Wiggins is really good this year.
I can't believe I called him that. I almost threw up when I said that.
The Maple Mamba.
There's so many Mambas.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. But they have a really young core. They have a young core that's like with fresh legs that can do some of the lifting.
Yeah.
And then you still have Draymond Green, who is one of the all-time greatest defenders ever. He's not like flashy or exciting, and can his offense has fallen off, but he's still one of the best defenders in the entire NBA. So they're obviously going to be a good team. That would be the only team that I'm scared of. Brooklyn doesn't scare me at all.
Oh, wow.
Not in the slightest.
See, here's the thing, okay? I agree with you on the Warriors. I would even say the Nets. I don't care about the Suns because I saw last year what happened in the first round, and I think if the Lakers were healthy, they would have taken out the Suns. The Suns, to me, are just a good regular season team, but they're not meant for the playoffs. I honestly think Devin Booker is a great player. Once you find a great defender on him, then good luck because DeAndre Ayton is a great center, but I think the Lakers can match up with him. Chris Paul seems to struggle with the Lakers. I honestly think the Lakers can knock out the Suns when it comes to the playoff picture. When it comes to the Warriors, I'm not going to say that because they're a great three-point shooting team.
Oof.
Anything could happen. The Nets, they seem to have a leg up, even though they're just as old as the Lakers. I think the Suns are paper champs.
So I can understand what you're saying, and honestly, I think last year's team does beat them. But we had one of the greatest or one of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA with Caruso, and one of the best lock and trail defenders in the NBA with KCP, and struggled with being able to stop. And were unable to stop Devin Booker. So for me, who's going to be on them this time, right? Because who's going to be defending those guys this time? So to me, that's my issue. Is more, it's not less about us being able to put up the points. I just think that we're not going to be able to stop them, because we don't have the wings to put on Devin Booker and Chris Paul. So that's my concern with like all the teams that I'm mentioning. Who's going to guard these all-time great guards, like pick and roll guards,
Avery
and,
Bradley.
Carmelo Anthony.
Carmelo Anthony.
All of a sudden.
Mellow time.
The ghost of Avery Bradley.
Yeah.
Bro.
Thank you so much for joining us. Again, follow the Pettiest Laker Fan on
Yeah.
Twitter at the Pettiest LA. And again, we hope you recreate that amazing night at it's going to be the Crypto.com arena, but at the Staples Center sometime soon.
Definitely will, man. Thank you guys for having me on,
Thank
man.
you.
Got some great stuff coming during the holiday season. That's awesome.
Can't wait to watch it. Yeah.